Okay. How's my streaming started? Channel. And let's see. Set up again. Give me a second. Okay, good. It's on. Share. C8. C8. Copy everything here. Make sure it goes to Steemit. And I gotta restream. Damn it, not there. Full. Good. And start streaming. Let's fix that. Good. Okay, I should be streaming on DLive as well. I don't know what happened last night. Hopefully it was going on. I'll double check again. Hi Ryan, how's it going? Hey for Scorpio. Sorry for the setup. It's taking me a while. I just have to check on. So last night, so DLive is working now. It wasn't working last night. I guess I'll just upload it to DTube tomorrow. The one that was supposed to be live streaming yesterday. Nope, no Ebon Snork. How's it going? Hi, Rosenfeld. So today I just want to go ahead and have the discussion that we didn't get to have about Suzie Dawson's article last night. And so feel free to come on in. Just so people know, let me find the tweet from. There is going to be a live Q&A next Friday. I don't want to get it wrong with the time and date, but okay, here it is. Oops. All right, I'm going to share the screen. So a special event, please join at Suzie D and at Elizabeth Levos live for Q&A discussing Suzie Dawson's new masterpiece, hashtag being Julian Assange. This is on Friday, March 16th at 6 p.m., 9 p.m., 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. And Saturday, March 17th at 4 a.m. MSK. I'm sorry, I don't know what that one is. And 2 p.m. at New Zealand DT. I don't know what that is either. Thank you, Fire, for letting us know. I will definitely want to make sure I participate. Okay, so if people want to come in, we could discuss it, whether you've read it or not. You can also let us know, like, if you have questions right now. I mean, it is a long read for people. My wife is a very slow reader. And so sometimes just having it read aloud to you while you're doing stuff like dishwashing or laundry or whatever, you could go ahead and go to last night's video on topic, and it just has me and the fly reading it out loud. And it took almost 4 hours. So even if you're listening to it, it's going to take a while to read, but I think it's definitely worth reading. After this show, I don't know if there's anything else going on tonight with our little talk about anything network. I do like to keep things a little bit less pent up during the weekends. So I will try to host something called D&D night, D&D Saturday night. I don't know. I'll figure it out. And what it is we're gonna just try to see who's interested in playing Dungeons and Dragons. I'm gonna see of all the people interested. I'm gonna kind of go through a breakdown of different Dungeons and Dragons editions. I fly, and then we'll figure out more there. If there's any interest into it. If not, we'll just do an anything goes. All right. So now that we're going to be on topic, let's go ahead and talk about the article and discuss it. Like what I wanted to do, and I didn't get to do, is just kind of have a summary of Suzie Dawson's article, just kind of some like a one-liner of every section of kind of what it talks about. So if there's a specific section, you can always go and read at that point. And they all connect together near the end, but there may be some things that you already know about. So rather than reading through about it again in Susie's article, you could probably cut down some time and go to a part that you're not familiar with or you didn't know. And then not only is the 4 hours worth of information that she breaks down, you can actually go to all these hyperlinks that are there, going to the original article or source of seeing what she took a screenshot of. And she does do a good job of having like a breakdown. Let me go and see the screen. The light shed on Chelsea Manning, Donald Trump, Edward Snowden, Glenn Greenwald, Jacob Applebaum, Jeremy Corbyn. What? Wait, I don't remember Jeremy Corbyn in the thing. Okay. Anyways, most of these, I think these are just different sections of something else. I'm sorry.
I think that's actually different articles.
Yeah, I know. I just realized that. I was like, oh, maybe these are just, yeah, sorry. I hate it when I'm wrong on live. Okay.
Not a problem.
So where should we start? It looks like not many are coming on yet to discuss it. But what are the biggest? Let's start with the things that you didn't know before you read the article. Like, what were things that stood out to you, Fly? For me, it was the Swartz, Jason Swartz, was it? Aaron Swartz, not Jason Swartz. I was thinking the actor, Aaron Swartz. Like, I was very suspicious that, you know, he committed suicide for the MIT thing, and that was me back in the past. I used to read Wired a lot because I was a techie, and I'd read that article about Jason Swartz, and I followed some things on WikiLeaks and just kind of just random Googling just to see what it was he uncovered, just to see if, you know, was that something worth killing himself over. And then, but the way that everything goes through, like, I mean, just imagine, just like the DNC, if they found out Seth Rich was the leaker, you know, they would kill him. Same thing if Aaron Swartz, if they found out, if they knew, and they did know that he was creating something for WikiLeaks, then, you know, that's kind of just another just cause to get rid of him. I don't think he committed suicide. I think Deep State probably killed him. And then the other person, which I didn't know about, who also committed suicide,
James Dolan.
Yeah, I didn't know about him. And anyways, what about you? What was like the biggest thing, or what stood out as far as something that
I didn't know and found out in the article?
Mm-hmm.
James Dolan was a part of it, of understanding that and understanding his introducing Aaron Swartz to was it Barlow? I believe it was Barlow. And so that was one of the major things right there. And then also the really big one was for me was the EFF and understanding the EFF's position behind all of this and understanding their connection to the CIA.
What was EF? Oh, here it is. EFF. Do you remember what EFF stood for? Because there's also like the
FPF, the Freedom of the Press Foundation.
Yep, FPF. And
so the EFF is the Electronic Frontier
Foundation.
Yep. Yeah. And the FPF is Freedom of the Press Foundation.
Yeah.
So and, I didn't realize that 5 of the votes on the board for FPF were EFF members.
Yep, me neither.
Yeah. So this brings up a lot of interesting questions behind this non-government foundation or non-government organization. But I had already prior had suspicions about almost every non-government organization based on the fact of the organizations aren't helping out people that are whistleblowers that I know of, even though that's what they're supposed to do. So if you decide to go whistleblower, the chances that you're going to be helped in any way by these non-government organizations, or at least US-based non-government organizations or UN-based non-government organizations, which there's 67,000 of which that I've been trying to go through myself. These non-government organizations are not going to be very willing to help you out, because most of them do sign that they have to act in the best interest of the security of the United States of America.
Yeah. And that was something I'd never even heard about them. I mean, I may have seen it around, it's just one of those things like in the background subliminally. I just think, okay, they're just another company that's trying to make things better in the tech world type of thing. And then you don't really think about it, like who's behind it, where's the money coming from, and all this other stuff. And
exactly. And I thought it was a very good point that she made about the people that are within the organizations at the lower levels, out in the field, or middle management. They may not even know exactly where the money's coming from, and they will be very angry about the fact that you even question the NGO that they work for, because they work very hard for the NGO. But that just lends street cred to the NGO itself, and they're going to allow you to do that. They're going to allow you to use the organization as it's meant to be. It's just that you give them that street cred so they can continue to do everything else nefarious behind the scenes. And we're seeing that with like Zoe's, gosh, I can't remember the name of the NGO, Zoe's Cross or something like that. The one that Elizabeth Leovoss wrote an article about recently that was involved in human trafficking.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been suspicious about NGOs, especially knowing that Soros creates them. The Koch brothers create these NGOs. So many of your oligarchs create so many NGOs, and the Kochs are known for their web of NGOs. Mm-hmm. So the Koch brothers have this tremendous web of deceit, which is another that it's very difficult to even track down any information on who's actually behind these.
I feel like, again, the left-right paradigm, the right keeps attacking the left because George Soros, but then they don't really recognize the Koch brothers. I'll call them the Koch brothers. The Koch brothers.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. They are Kochs.
Yeah. And the lefts, I don't know. I guess they just focus on the Koch brothers. They don't think about Soros. And then we've got everyone else who
There are
are
many other oligarchs behind the scenes that are creating
exactly.
these NGOs that a lot of people are not even paying attention to because they're only paying attention to those two.
Yep.
I mean, Omidyar, he's one that should really be watched because he's behind several of these press-related NGOs.
Yep. And he is mentioned in that article quite frequently as well.
Yes, because he's the backer for the Freedom of the Press Foundation. So he backs it with money.
Mm-hmm. There was also like the mainstream media, I think, and not necessarily indie media. The mainstream media were pushing another person or family that they're
Yes,
saying. Do you know who I'm talking about? I can't
the
remember.
Mercer family.
The Mercer family, yes.
Yes, and the Mercer family is another one that needs to be watched. I have no loyalty to any politician, no loyalty to any political party. So if anytime there is information that's brought up against one of these politicians, I have no problem in listening to it and trying to find out the truth myself.
Yeah.
And that is the only way that you can actually get to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah.
So that by actually not having anybody that you're loyal to, that you're going to be biased against anything that comes out about them.
Mm-hmm.
If you have no loyalty to any of them and you view them all as human beings that are capable of being used as puppets, being used as toys, then you can actually be able to discover the truth so much easier.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just imagine you're on the you're a soldier in one army and you're just following orders. You don't question those orders because you
absolutely
believe everyone above you is doing everything the best he can for you and or the situation, the war, the battle, but you don't realize they could be doing things.
That's why I really found it interesting the way that Suzie worded her fight with Barrett Brown that became very public.
Mm-hmm.
In her fight, she said she doesn't want to believe that Barrett Brown is wittingly trying to mislead people and trying to point out all these or trying to tear down Julian Assange. She doesn't want to believe that he's wittingly doing it. So he's either wittingly doing it or he's unwittingly doing it. He's doing it because he's following along with this narrative that Hillary Clinton cannot be wrong and that Donald Trump must be the bad guy and Putin is involved in all the Russian hacking and everything. In fact, Barrett Brown is still a very huge advocate for claiming that Putin is pulling the strings behind Donald Trump at this point right now.
Yeah. And here's the thing, because I've been seeing that too. I remember seeing all the whistleblowers just kind of fighting against each other. I'm like, don't you guys understand? You guys are whistleblowers. You guys have the one underlying thing that connects you guys, that you guys have found something that the government's doing that's illegal and wrong, and so you decided to let the public know about it.
Correct. And another one was Sybil Edmonds of Newsbud.
Yeah.
Because she is a whistleblower herself, and she has done quite a bit to attack many other different whistleblowers.
Yeah. What I noticed, because I used to follow Newsbud just to watch, and then they kind of went the way of, we're going to give you a preview, like a trailer of the news, and you can't watch the full news until you pay on Patreon or whatever. And I always thought, if the world or the public needs to know about it, you should be doing it for free. Why are you doing it for money?
Exactly. And it's so counterproductive to Aaron Swartz's belief that freedom or that information wants to be free. It's so counter intuitive as that.
Yeah. Like for me, eventually I'm going to start monetizing, and everything like this, everything that's news, every discussions, that's going to be free. The things that would be for, if you want to watch the full thing, I'll probably release it like a week or two later for free. But if you want to watch it like real time, you can contribute whatever, and it'll be like entertainment stuff or comedy, satire, or like training. Like if you want to train like the stuff that I can teach, And if you really want to learn it, then you can contribute. Because I mean, it's basically, instead of paying however much, like $500 or a week or something, or a month for actual training at a school, and you may not learn anything. Everyone pitches in, and everyone kind of can ask questions, or you come on and you can learn hands-on type of thing. So you don't have to like break the bank in order to learn something where you can actually apply it. But I mean, yeah, I just think if the information, especially where the public's involved and they should know, there shouldn't be a price to pay for that. That just
correct. So I do agree with that model. It's not the kind of model that I would do, but I do agree with it, that it would be because you do need to pay your bills somehow. Mm-hmm. So I completely understand that. My own philosophy is that the more you hold it back, think about how many people it might actually harm in the future. But that's just depending on the direction that I'm going with the information that I'm trying to share. Yeah. So I would, in the case of where if there's even the slightest possibility that the information that you can share is going to save the life of one more child that's being bombed, it's going to take one night away from somebody having to sleep out on the streets, it's going to put food in the mouths of somebody who's about ready to starve to death, or it's going to give that drink of water to somebody that's going to be, or that's just dying of thirst. Mm-hmm. If that information has even the slightest possibility of being able to better humankind in any way, then definitely get that out there without any hesitation and for free. Do whatever you can to benefit humanity. We have to do everything we can in order to help each other through all these trying situations that we're all going through.
Yeah. So I want to get to the whistleblowers, because I have a feeling that they've read the article. And what do you think is going through their heads? Do you think they'll just kind of, you know what, Suzie, you're right. Let's join forces like we're supposed to, and not have these differences? Or do you think it's just going to keep going the way it is?
I think it's going to depend on each person and their perception of what it is that Suzie wrote. I'm hoping that they get down to the bottom of it and they realize that everything that she wrote in this article is because she sees everybody picking Julian Assange apart. They're picking him apart. They're dissecting him. They're doing an autopsy on a table, and he's not gone. And they're treating him as though the situation that he's in inside the Ecuadorian embassy is a normal situation, that because people can come and see him. Well, I'm sorry, you can go see people in a solitarium as well. He's surrounded by 4 walls with no windows because of the fact he's had people that have tried to actually break into his window during the Democratic convention. Somebody was actually out, I believe it was right after, somebody was outside of the embassy in ninja gear, had climbed up and evaded all the protection that the Ecuadorian government had put onto that building. Somebody had climbed up there and was in his window. This was witnessed by the guards themselves.
Yeah.
This guy is in danger of his life being taken at any moment. We had Hillary Clinton asking the question, well, why don't we drone him?
Yeah.
Why don't we drone him?
Yeah. Another thing is, because I have, I'm woke, whatever you want to call it, since 2016. Mm-hmm. So I didn't really know who Adrian Lamo was either. I don't even know if I'm saying that name right. And
Adrian Lamo.
Lamo. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll call him Lamo because he is a Lamo.
He's definitely a Lamo.
So, wow. I mean, holy smokes, he's from Boston too?
Yes.
Yeah, and when I first read it about the whole Boston thing, I was like, oh crap, I'm in Boston, around Boston. So
quite a bit happens in Boston.
Yeah. And that's another crazy thing. And I guess I'll share the screen real quick. So just a quick Google search on Adrian Lamo. Oh, no, not that one. I'm horrible.
We saw your porn.
Yeah. Don't look at my porn.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I mean, who? Yeah, the dildo collection that I have too. You don't want to see that. Okay. Adrian Lamo. Like the Wikipedia, you know, how much can we trust about the Wikipedia? And it's good because she mentions like just look at the sources of the Wikipedia, and who's writing them and where they're getting their references from. And a lot of people don't look at that. I mean, I don't even look at that in a lot of Wikipedias. I just want a quick information summary, and that's what Wikipedia is for. Except on these types of things, you're not going to get a good mix of information. You're just going to get that one narrative.
Absolutely.
And now that go ahead.
Well, like Suzie was saying in her article that we were reading last night, a lot of times they'll put out an article that has a lot of false information in it. They'll retract that information later, but that article in its originality, it will still be used as a reference, and information from that article will be used as reference, even though they've retracted statements that they've made. So that's where she was pointing out the problems with Micah Lee's articles being at number 20, and I can't remember who was at number 21.
21, 22 maybe as well.
Yeah, Cora Courier. And so those already debunked, already retracted articles are used as reference for the Wikipedia information. So that's why they have to change those articles instead of just posting a retraction or saying that I misspoke. I assumed there. I assumed. Your assumption is being used in Wikipedia, where people are going to be gathering this information. And that's where Suzie was making the point. People are trying to rewrite history. They're writing articles so that they'll be used as a reference for Wikipedia, therefore changing the way people perceive these things as happening.
And let's get to Micah Lee, because I used to read Wired a lot because I got it for free. And as a techie, you read it. And a lot of it has just a lot of information about technologies, new technologies, hackers, hacking, etc. But now that I go back, like when I read it, I was always just held back. It's like, you know, I don't know if that's quite right. But now that I read it, it's like, holy crap, that stuff isn't isn't right. So like my initial gut feeling or instincts were kind of just, not that I knew it might have been wrong. It just didn't sound right. And I think you can start seeing that language if we can. I mean, not talking about Suzie's article, but just kind of in a deeper level, you can kind of start understanding the language. And I think as a journalist, Suzie Dawson sees that more readily. Like that one part where I was talking about assumptions of what I think was it that Julian Assange is saying, and everything based off of that is from the first statement that it's just an assumption. So everything else after that, you know, sounds like it's exactly what Assange said, but they don't keep saying assumption that Julian Assange said, the assumption that Assange stipulated, the assumption that whatever. It's always, and that's pretty bad.
Yeah, because the assumption that Micah makes is that he is that Julian is the only one behind WikiLeaks' Twitter account, or that Julian is, or that Julian even has access to it. At the point that the assumptions are made, that statements made by the WikiLeaks Twitter account were made, Julian was well known to not have access to the internet. So if you base your article on Julian said this, by the assumption, you admit in your article, it's an assumption that it was Julian Assange that made these statements, then the whole article is misrepresented.
Yeah.
And I know it comes down to semantics, but semantics are the point of somebody being credible in their reporting and somebody not being credible, and credible sources being used for the history books of the future.
Yeah. Also, in case I can't make it on Friday, Fly, for whatever reason, could you ask Suzie and Elizabeth the question of what things didn't make the cut? Like, it's a long article.
Right.
I assume that there's probably a lot more extra that was in it initially that might have been cut off. Like, maybe it just didn't quite fit the entire premise of what the article is trying to go for, but it just provided more information. Just maybe that question.
Okay, that would be a great question to ask. I know I'll be having quite a few questions myself, especially when it comes down to Michael Lee. In my own perspective of the article, it showed you something about him, but didn't quite say it. And so I'd kind of like to know the answer. I'd like to know the answer, or the possibility.
Okay.
Yeah, but when it comes down to Michael Lee, I've been watching his Twitter, and he's been very silent, except for releasing a private DM between Barrett Brown and Kim.com that Barrett Brown tweeted out in his ranting after finding out that Suzie had posted this article and found out that he was near the top of it.
So what are your thoughts about Kim.com? Because, I mean, he's mentioned not a lot in this article. I think 3 mentions. Do you think he was intentionally left out on a lot of things? I mean, it seems like it always seems to come around to Kim.com, whether it's Seth Ridge or Julian Assange, these DMs and whatnot.
Well, there's no doubt that Kim.com is a big player behind the scenes. There's no doubt about that. In fact, if you take a look at Barrett Brown's own tweets and private DMs with Kim.com, he states that the only person that Julian Assange is actually honest with is Kim.com. So there's no doubt that he's very much behind the scenes making his ways. He's very intelligent man, very intelligent man. And when you're playing in this kind of arena where they wanted to extradite him to the United States of America, and instead he had the Prime Minister of New Zealand actually apologizing to him for the raid that happened. It's not every day you have the Prime Minister apologizing to somebody for having an illegal raid on somebody's house.
Yeah.
So he's a very intelligent man. A lot of people may not give him the credit of that, but he is a very intelligent man.
Sorry, I'm skipping around. Is so no Michael Lee, going back to him, do you think he's sold out? Do you think he just has an ego problem? He just wants to be like, hey, I founded it. Hey, I'm the co-founder. I'm, I know what I'm talking about. Julian Assange, he doesn't know what he's talking about, etc. Do you think it's maybe a mix of both? Is he one that would be a part of, like, we need to start getting along, or is he just an external player that's just causing a lot of this infighting?
He would be an insider player, creating infighting. And it does seem like he is involved in some really interesting positions. If you take a look at how many times he disparaged Julian Assange and WikiLeaks and all of his tweeting, I believe more than half of his total tweets about Julian Assange were disparaging or highly critical in one way or another.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now.
Yeah, she has a chart of that.
she had a couple of tries of that for
Yeah,
different
definitely.
people.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It seems like he does a lot to try to discredit WikiLeaks.
Now,
and it doesn't seem like he cares if it damages Freedom of the Press Foundation.
what about the Intercepts playing to all this? Do you think? Okay, here's the. Let me share the screen and up my porn list and my dodo list. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so 230 tweets to WikiLeaks, 62 nasty, 62 total about Julian Assange. More than half of them being critical or nasty.
Yeah.
So the Intercept, like I always thought that just kind of like, I don't know, like the Guardian or the Intercept, that they had a journalist that reported on something and they actually covered it. And then after time passed, that journalist no longer works at that news company, and things definitely changed.
Yeah.
Now, is it are these news companies like the Guardian with Glenn Greenwald and the Intercept with help me out here, who was
Are they involved with the CIA?
Yeah, have they been taken over, I guess you could say?
Let me put it this way. I'm a CIA agent and I come to you and I say, you know, I want you to get rid of that journalist that actually reported on the whistleblowing of our organization. And I'm just giving you the message that we're going to make it a little hard on your corporation if you don't end up getting rid of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we know that they target people. We know what their practices are because we've been going through the Decipher You Snowden documents, SID Today files.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing to the Intercept's credit at this point right now is Glenn Greenwald is still writing for them. And on top of that, they are releasing the files so that we can go through them.
Yeah.
Every other journalistic or journalistic source, be it the New Yorker, be it the Guardian,
the Atlantic,
and Washington Post, they've stopped reporting on this years ago.
Mm-hmm. And
whereas we're finally getting this information leaked to us, the people, we the people.
Mm-hmm.
That's only happening through the Intercept.
And that was another interesting thing. Yes. I think it was when they were talking about Edward Snowden, when I'm not sure if it was him, I have to double check, but when he sent his files, he sent it to multiple news agencies.
Yes, including so they all have it.
Yep, and we can see by who actually published them and who didn't, and we could kind of see that. I guess
those certain reporters are beginning to dwindle and be ousted, be kicked out of the organizations.
Yeah. And that would be another good thing to kind of look into, is just, okay, he sent it to all these news agencies. Did anyone publish them? And if they did, where are they now? What happened to them? And the ones who didn't have anyone publish them at all, it's we just kind of know that there is that handhold already.
Yeah. So if you're following the Decipher You project of Suzie's, you're going to really notice that the information inside there does describe how they financially go after different organizations or different people when they target them. One of the biggest things that Suzie is constantly looking for in all these files is proof they're targeting of individuals. There's a whole subset of people on YouTube and all over the internet that consider themselves to be TI, targeted individuals. So Suzie is a TI as well, a targeted individual. Julian Assange is a targeted individual. Edward Snowden is a targeted individual. So the Decipher You, she's very, with the Decipher You project, she's very interested every time she finds something discussing the targeting of individuals. by the NSA, by any organizations working or that's collecting information from the NSA, their customer base.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if it was this article again. Again, it was a long article, but the targeting of not just the TI, but those around them, the second and third connection towards them.
They will put pressure on people that you are close to get you to stop doing what you were doing.
Yeah. Man. Is that why no one wants to come on and talk about this with us?
Well, I think a lot of people may not have actually read the entire thing. It is over 23,000 words.
Yeah. And not only that, there's the images that you got to count and the tweets. And tweets,
absolutely,
images with the tweets themselves probably has about half that amount of wordage.
Yeah, it took us about 4 hours.
Yeah.
4 hours to read through that last night. I'm very glad we did.
Yeah, I'm glad. Because now that I think about it, maybe there are people who, not just the slow reading factor like my wife, but people who might be blind or just can't see well, or just, they just have trouble reading from the computer.
Exactly.
They can listen to it, or they just listen in snippets, like if they're driving or commuting, or they may not have time to read it. And I'm glad you were able to help me out, and I didn't have to read that thing for 4 hours straight. I ran out of water like after the first hour.
Oh yeah.
I had a drink. I had like leftover coffee that was all really cold, but like just the dregs of it. I had to resort to that, so I didn't have to get out of my seat, so I could keep scrolling down. So there's like the visual part.
Yeah, it's quite hard talking for many hours straight. Nobody else there to help you out and give you a chance to wet your whistle a little bit.
Yeah, thank you, Fly. I couldn't have done it without you. I would have given up and did 4 parts to it. Yeah, it was tough. I was like, okay, I could read fast, and then I noticed like after the first hour, I was probably not even a quarter way through. that was like I was getting worried. People can see my face because everything was shared screen on the on the article, but I was like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. All right.
Does anybody in the chat have any questions for us?
Yeah. I was kind of looking while we're talking. Now, I like this breakdown of the EFF's relationship to FPF and security drop.
Yes.
And we've got the whistleblowers, Chelsea Manning, Edward Snowden, Daniel Ellsberg, the journalists, Kevin Poulsen, Quinn Norton. And, I kind of want to get towards Kevin Poulsen as well, what your thoughts about him are. And then the FPF board members affiliated with EFF, and then the other board members. Like when I saw John Cusack, I was like, really? John Cusack? I didn't know he was involved in it at all. That caught me by surprise. It's like, wow, John Cusack. Yeah, I guess might as well we talk about him. John Cusack. What are your thoughts about him as being just one of the other FPF board members? Hello?
John. Yeah, I'm here. John Cusack.
Yeah, he's the actor.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he was on the FPF board as well.
Yeah.
But he's not on the EFF board, correct?
Yeah, he's not.
Okay.
Yeah,
because right now, the way I'm looking at it, from the impression that I got from the article, the EFF seems to be the ones that are trying to steer everything in the direction of securing information, considering it a part of national security. That's kind of the feeling I've been getting.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's that's just a theoretical on my part, but
Yeah.
it's the feeling that I come across on after reading the entire article.
And here's the thing that worries me, because they, I mean, the whistleblowers, they, they're target individuals. They don't really seem to go with the board members all too much. There's just too much publicity on their part.
Mm-hmm.
But look at the developers, both deceased. It's like, there's only few people who end up having it. I mean, it's a talent. People who program, who could create new things or create things and like put their time into it and build it. That's almost a rarity. And they seem to know that that take them out of the equation, it just slows down whatever movement where these participants are, can actually make a difference. And that's where they're, it's kind of like in war, you go for the what is that train of like supply lines that they are the supply lines. If they, if they get rid of the supply lines, they can't supply the players with to keep going.
Yes, and we know from the leaks from Palantir that Palantir was working with the CIA in order to troubleshoot how to isolate Julian Assange, and they've been very good at isolating Julian Assange from anybody that would possibly support him. So it just goes to figure that because one of the main things that they've tried to sever the relationship between is Julian Assange and Glenn Greenwald, that they would try to target the organization that Glenn Greenwald is such a big part of, the FPF, in order to break up that relationship between Julian Assange and Glenn Greenwald. Yeah. And that's where I get the impression Micah Lee comes in quite a bit into that situation, because Micah Lee seems to really be trying to separate that connection, making it, are you with WikiLeaks or are you with the Freedom of the Press Foundation for Glenn Greenwald?
Yeah. And so what about the Kevin Poulsen? Because he's mentioned quite a lot.
Yeah. Let me see what he's in big relationship.
I'll show the screen again. From Adrian Lamo to Micah Lee to Secure Drop.
Yes. Now, isn't Kevin Poulsen, he was involved with Adrian Lamo, correct?
Yes.
So he was the one that Adrian Lamo connected to in order to give the information of Chelsea Manning to Chelsea Manning's hearing to. So it was Michael Lee and Kevin Poulsen that were in there with Chelsea Manning, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he's the Lamo confidant. The beneficiaries. The beneficiaries secure dropped. Kevin Poulsen and Michael Lee. They are the.
Kevin Poulsen is very close to Michael Lee.
Yeah, and I think that's who Swartz was.
That Aaron Swartz was connected to.
Yeah, he's the one that gosh, why can't I formulate my words and thoughts right now? Wanted to continue with the secure drop, but then we just see this kind of switch with Michael Lee, and at least that's how I perceived it. It's like, why would Swartz entrust so much on Michael Lee, and Michael Lee being involved early, and now there's just Michael Lee's big turn.
Michael Lee is all over the place.
Yes. And that's like one of those weird things. It's like the 2016 election all over again. Like
Exactly.
all of a sudden, everyone's kind of in the same league. Everyone's watching Bill Maher. Everyone's listening to all these comedians, and all of a sudden, it's Bernie Sanders drops out, and people are like, there's just a lot of hate against Bernie Sanders and Jill Stein just because they want Hillary. You have everyone just saying, hey, if you're not with Hillary, then you're either misogynist, or you're an idiot, you're an asshole, or you're a whatever. You're just every negative connotation, and it's just all in one. And it seems exactly like that with Michael Lee.
Yeah, so he could just be a very big hillbot and just try to be attacking Julian Assange for the fact that that he perceives Julian Assange to have helped Hillary to lose, which would be quite on par with how many Hillary fanatics are. I don't want to call them cultists. I don't want to insult cults. So, but they are willing to attack. When Hillary said that it was the black people, everybody was ready to attack the black people. She quickly decided that it was not the black people that were the reason for her losing the election. And then she claimed that it was the Native Americans. And quickly people jumped on her about calling it the American the Native Americans that caused her to lose. So she had to switch and find somebody else. And so it finally came down to the white nationalists, the Russian bots, and everybody else. And each of these people that are just like completely enthralled by Hillary Clinton just follow in that line and say, well, it's okay that she blamed me for a moment. She took it back. Now I know who it really was. It was these people over here. These people over here. Yeah. And let's all go after them because we got to make somebody pay for this. We got to make somebody suffer for hurting our poor hearts and not letting us watch the glass ceiling get shattered.
Yeah. Yeah, she blames everyone but herself. I think she's finally kind of somewhat admitted to it in her book, but not really.
No, no, she can't admit to it. Yeah. She cannot. If she admits, because of the donors, think about the donors, where the money's coming from. Yeah. Will Walmart give the money to Hillary Clinton again if she lost to Donald Trump, just to run against Donald Trump again? Mm-hmm. No, because she lost. Will Jeff Bezos give her the money again like he gave to her before and the support that he gave to her? No, he won't give that to her because she lost. Will Bill Gates give her the money? And I'm saying all of the oligarchs gave her money and also gave her support in every possible way that they could. Yeah. Will the oligarchs give her money if she lost to Donald Trump so she can run against him again and suffer the same circumstances? No. So she must prove to the entire planet that it was stolen from her. Mm-hmm. And if it ever comes down to she lost, then she's out of the election. She will be out of the election because nobody will give her any money to run again. Nobody will back her up because she'll be a loser in that circumstance. So they don't want to back her a third time to lose a third time. $1.2 billion is not nothing. $1.2 billion is a lot of money that people invested in this woman.
But not if you're the certain oligarchs. I mean, it's all like shared money.
Even if it was Jeff Bezos, he's worth over $100 million right now. That would be 1% of his entire income that he's supposedly worked so hard to stream off of everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
1%. And so 1% is a big percentage to these people when they're saying, yeah, but I want to be a extreme billionaire. I want to be the first trillionaire.
Yeah. I mean, it's a loss. Even though it's not much to these people. Yeah. It was supposedly a sure bet, you know? And
exactly.
I thought it was a sure bet. What's going on? And then now I got to front more money, and now we don't know if it's a sure bet.
Exactly. Right? So if you prove that she lost the election, then if you prove that she had the election stolen and didn't lose, then it's fair game again.
Yeah, I kind of want to spur it on and just say, you know what? It was stolen from Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton run in 2020 just to see her lose the third time. I would,
I
I
know
would,
I know so many people that now are saying, I want to register as a Democrat. I was registered before as a Republican, and I want to nominate her for the presidency of the United States of America in the Democrat Party with me as a Democrat, just so I can watch Donald Trump beat her again.
yeah, I think I'm in that boat. I would, I would do that in a heartbeat because I know she would lose.
I'm unaffiliated, so I vote with the Democrats anyway in California.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I'm an affiliated as well.
the thing is, do I believe the United States deserves Hillary Clinton? Yes. Do I believe the rest of the world deserves Hillary Clinton? No.
I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like maybe the ones who vote for them deserve them, but the ones who don't, or the ones who, well, maybe I don't know about the ones who don't vote because I feel like the ones who don't vote, maybe they do deserve who and what they get. I mean, they have a third option, fourth option, fifth option, write-in, whatever, but they don't use that. But do they deserve it? That's kind of going far for the.
It is going quite far, but look at how many people have been asleep, and the entire time people around the world have suffered for that being asleep. Look at how many bombs we dropped. We dropped so many bombs on Yemen that, or on, I'm sorry, we dropped so many bombs on Syria that we ran out of bombs. Did anybody say anything? Did anybody go after that? No, no, no. They're fighting ISIS. Well, we created ISIS. Nobody was awake, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you, Fly, because now that I think about the entire, if
and that was another point that Suzie was making in her article about how when somebody talks to Julian about his own health, he is very quick to dismiss it and say, well, I don't give a damn about my own health. I want to discuss the health of the children in Syria that are getting bombed by USA bombs.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of person that is truly selfless, because he doesn't care how his own health is. It's about the health of the planet. Julian Assange, I was asked earlier tonight who I thought was the most anti-war on the entire planet, and I'm going to agree with Suzie on that. It's Julian Assange. Julian Assange does not put lives at risk. Julian Assange is trying to stop war.
Yeah,
he's trying to stop the war, and people that are listening to him are realizing that he's trying to stop all these wars that are happening, these misleading wars that we're being led into: Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen. Look, and he's doing his best to stop all that.
I know. I agree with you. I mean, this is why my first blog post on Steemit. This is what I keep thinking about. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. So right now we're at a point where we can't do nothing and just hope that things are going to change for the better.
Exactly.
That's not going to happen. So people who are out of it or on the sidelines, I'm sorry, you got to start participating and
start kicking in some help, because
I mean,
but then you get the argument of everybody saying, well, that means I have to pick myself up by the bootstraps. No, we're asking you to stop sabotaging all of us.
Yeah. I get that.
Stop trying to sabotage the people that are trying to change the world for the better.
Yeah. Just do that one day of sacrifice. Your work, that voting days. Like, I have work. Sacrifice that one day of work just to go in and vote for who you want, who you think, who you trust is going to actually change and make the world better. Not vote for, this person has the best chance to win against this person who I want least. Just show everyone else in the country who is the trustworthy person that would make the world and us as a country a better country. That way we can actually see what the country's thinking, and the people of the country that they're actually for. What are you for? What's, as a countryman, countrywoman, it's,
I don't think we're going to be able to vote our ways out of this.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I think that we're going to have to take things outside of the system.
Well, that's the hope of 2020. A lot of people, just like James, just like Dave, just like everyone else, they don't want that revolution. They want that peaceful revolution.
There is a way to do a peaceful revolution. But how far will you be allowed to do that before you're going to be smeared, before you're going to be attacked, before you're going to be discredited, before you're going to be mocked? How far are you going to be allowed to go down that route?
Yeah.
As an example, I mentioned the other night, if people really want healthcare, they want a single payer healthcare. Single payer healthcare essentially is taking tax money and using that tax money to pay for everybody's healthcare, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You want that single payer healthcare, take 15% of your paycheck. Everybody in this country, take 15% of your paycheck, create your own organization to do that, and bypass the government. Bypass them.
Mm-hmm.
Go outside of the government. That is a peaceful way of doing it. That is a legitimate way of doing it. But it is also considered taking money out of the government's hands that they're not going to want you to be able to take out of their hands.
Yeah.
They want the money in their control. Create your own organization to take care of that health care for everybody in the United States, and you're more than welcome to do that. But you're going to meet a lot of flack.
Yeah. It's basically just flood the government. The strategy is to subvert the government's control at every opportunity possible, so that they have to keep going in to control all these subversions. And then you really see what the government's trying to do, in a way. And it's also hard for them to fight back, because they day in, day out have to keep creating these regulations to stop all these subversions.
Yes. Now, you can do this for anything that you want. You can do this for any type of an organization that you feel that you want your money to go to. If you feel like you want to create, with one exception, you can take your money and create an organization outside of this government and not have it in these corrupt people's hands, except for the military.
Mm-hmm.
So the military, they are not going to let you do that. And there are many people who are fighting that. But you know how much the U.S. military is going to go after the United States people that try to go outside of the system, and you have nothing to defend yourself. They have the toys they have the buildup, they have everything.
Sorry, we kept talking. Welcome, Rebel, Amanda.
Hey, Amanda.
That's okay.
Did you have anything you wanted to say or ask, or?
Well, it was funny as Fly said something and it triggered me. Boom, I was on, and while I was waiting, I forgot what it was that I got it. That it was like I was coming on just to go, yeah, and and it,
I mean, why couldn't you do the same thing for education? Why couldn't you have the taxpayers begin paying that money towards education, have the education the way that you want it designed outside of the hands of this corrupt government? What is to say you cannot take 5% of your paycheck and do that?
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying for a long time that we need to quit depending on everything of the government. It's time to cut the umbilical cord and create. I mean, they have their own goddamn shadow government, and it's like we need to have our own government, and just go full anarcho on them and tell them you can fucking kiss our asses, and I'm pissed tonight again.
Yeah.
Because there's many people who've been put into the position of depending on this government for their food. They've been depending on the government for their education. They've been depending on the government for everything. Those people are going to be at their weakest point if you're trying to throw a revolution that's trying to overthrow the government that's giving them the food, or that's giving them the food that they're eating. So you have to create something in ahead of time for the people that are going to fall through the netting before you can make any move to begin saying, okay, I'm only going to give you this much tax money because of the fact that I'm not using your healthcare anymore. I'm not using your education system anymore. I'm not using this other system, and this other system. But with any type of an outside government that's going to go along these lines, it's going to have some organization, and there's going to be a lot of pushback from the government because you're taking away their jobs, in their opinion.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks, I actually quit taking money from the government, like on the SNAP card. Mm-hmm. And what I did is I decided to go and start helping at the food banks to trade my work for food from them.
Yeah.
And I'm getting healthier food and more food just by working there.
Seattle has some really good food banks up there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good food banks.
I don't want the government anymore in my life.
All right, so we're kind of straying off from the article, but I think no, that's fine. I think we covered a lot to talk about. I think we might have another one next Saturday, just after the Q&A. That way, maybe more people read it. Maybe more people ask questions and get them answered, and then just see if there are other people interested in discussing it.
Yeah.
So, is there anyone have anything else to say about the article before?
It was brilliant. Suzie did a wonderful job on it. The information is invaluable for the historical records.
Yeah. I hope. I mean, it's kind of that two-sided sword. I don't want them to shut down everything that goes into that article, but I kind of want to see it too, because then we can see them they're just doing more of the censorship, that the revisionist rewriting of history and all that stuff. All right, so thank you. I will start up another show momentarily, so everyone that's watching, you can stay on. I'll be live in about 5 minutes again. Fly, Amanda, you guys are welcome to stay in the Zoom chat while I do that. Thank you, everyone who hasn't read it, or if you don't want to read it, you can go ahead and listen to last night's episode. Me and Fly read through it, and and there are other people who are covering it, and there are people who do have summaries of it. If you don't want to go through the entire thing, I think I don't know if you guys know of anyone. I know the Outer Light. He did a summary of it. I don't know. No one else kind of like I didn't see on YouTube videos if anyone really did a summary like that as well. But I'm sure that there are some like that out there. Anyways, thank you. I'm going to stop the stream.
Thank you.